In March 2025, I went to Spiti to see snow leopards. And boy, did I see them. The usual suspects and some unusual suspects were also on this adventure. So we're about an hour away from Kaza, and even before we got there, we got news of a sighting at a place called Sheko. Instead of going and checking into our hotel first, we're going to stop by the sighting, maybe take a slight detour and see if we're able to see snow leopards. This is super exciting because I didn't think it'll be this easy or this soon to have our first sighting. So let's see what waits for us there, and let's hope the light holds out till we get there. This was our second day on the road, acclimatizing to the altitude. We had driven from Shimla to Kalpa yesterday and gained about 800 meters in altitude. And today, we were on our way from Kalpa to Kaza, another 700 meters in altitude. We'd reach Kibber, our base camp, only tomorrow, about 4,200 meters above sea level. And en route Kaza, we had to make a small pit stop at Shego for a snow leopard sighting. The mountains got whiter and whiter as we made it to Shego. The snow leopard was on one of these white mountains by the side of the road. There's a reason the snow leopard is called the ghost of the mountains. I could not find it on the rock face on which it was supposed to be right there. I saw it on Nagraj's camera first and then spotted it on the mountain. And in a ghost-like manner, it disappeared soon after. Most snow leopard stories are about how difficult it is to find one. Peter Matheson's book, in which he and George Schaller spend months in the Himalayas studying blue sheep, is titled The Snow Leopard, because much like Peter Matheson's spiritual quest on that tour, the snow leopard represents a long, arduous journey. It is not something one finds, sometimes in an entire lifetime, let alone on day zero. And here we were, with photos of a snow leopard in our cards, before we checked into a hotel in Kaza, an interim destination. So we're on day one, and we're now driving from Kaza to a place called Langza, which is on the way to Kibber. We were planning for a nice leisurely breakfast, but we got a call halfway through our breakfast that there's already been news of a sighting at Langza. So between filling up my memory card and filling up my stomach, if I had to choose, I'd always choose the memory card. So off we are. We got to the village of Langza around 10:30 a.m. We gathered our gear and walked in the general direction of foot traffic. While snow leopards are solitary and inconspicuous, snow leopard sightings are anything but that. A sighting is a community event, a village fair of sorts. Porters bring our bags here. Tripods are set up. Spotting scopes are in place. Hot beverages served. Lunch too, if it's time. And chairs are set so that we can peer into our viewfinders without stressing our backs and necks. This is as comfortable as 4,000 meters and minus 20 degrees can get. Welcome to a snow leopard sighting. Be all of this as it may, actually spotting a snow leopard in a given sighting is an entirely different ballgame altogether. I squinted at the brown rock face, about half a kilometer away through my long lens, and could not find a snow leopard. Sonam, our spotter, then adjusted my lens and brought it into focus. It still took me a good while after that. Let me show you why. Look closely at the white dot in this frame. That is one of the two snow leopards in this frame, a mating pair. A male, his face red with blood from a fight the previous night, is on top and the female is below. That's how well they blend in. This is the equivalent of 1200 mm. Sonam then did his thing again. He turned my lens in the other direction, brought something else into focus. On the other side of the rock face was a third snow leopard, an older male who presumably lost a fight with the younger male who is now with the female. He was tending to his wounds. Given his injury, I think the blood stains on the younger male are from this leopard and not wounds. So here's how things stand at the moment. The mating pair is somewhere down here. The injured male is up here. And this here is the top of the gorge, covered in snow.
This is our first day here, and we've seen 3 snow leopards. We were told that one of them is a mating pair and another one is sitting a little distance away. It still doesn't make for great photos, but just to be able to see 3 snow leopards in the wild in one place is quite amazing. Hoping that they'll get up to something. Let's see how it pans out. We're going to be camped here for as long as it is needed. Right now, just some movement, and let's see what we can get.
Movement is code for everyone to drop whatever they're doing and pay attention to the snow leopards because they are up to something. And indeed they were. The female started walking towards the crevice. The male followed her, easily climbing almost vertical rocks. They settled into a ledge. There's no way anyone could tell that there were 2 snow leopards here if we hadn't watched them walk into it. Meanwhile, the older injured male started walking towards them. He then stopped to look down in their direction. By now, the younger male had walked out to the ledge and started walking towards the older male. I'm not sure how he knew the older leopard was there. They weren't in each other's lines of sight. It looked like a fight was brewing. The older male, who had suffered more losses in the earlier fight, did not seem up for another one. He retreated. He walked into a cave and went out of sight. We were told that this cave he went into exits on the other side, beyond our line of sight. The younger male went all the way to the top of the gorge and made sure the older male was gone. Convinced that he wasn't around, he slowly started heading back. On his way back, I saw one of the cutest moments of this tour. At this altitude and temperature, water is not fluid, there's only snow. So in winter, this is how snow leopards consume water. As much fun as this appears to be, I found out that this is not their preferred way. It takes energy or heat to convert snow to water, and out here, both energy and heat are rare commodities. By now, the female was up on the gorge too, and by the looks of it, feeding on something. I've read about snow leopards feeding on a shrub belonging to the Myricaria genus in this season. I am not sure exactly what she was feeding on, but big cats are known to feed on grasses and shrubs, every once in a while. With the other male away, the courtship ritual began, with the female gently nudging the male's face and getting into a posture called the mammalian lordosis by arching her back and moving her tail to the side. I have noticed this in leopards and lions in Africa too, just before mating. And after playing much hard to get and running around the gorge, they finally found their spot and mated. And after that, again, and again, and again, and again. Like all big cats, snow leopards mate multiple times a day. An interesting aspect that I noticed only while editing this footage: almost all copulations were in exactly the same place. Even after moving about a fair bit between copulations, they came back to the same place. Notice the rock in the background that is consistent in all these frames. This is the first time I'm seeing this in big cats.
So it's gotten considerably colder since the time we came here. It's probably minus 15 or so. And if Google's to be trusted, the warmest we're going to be in the 10 days we're here is about minus 8. So we're as prepared for that as we can be. Right now, this light's not great because it's snowing and the leopards are also asleep. And that's what our day's been like. Every time the leopards wake up, our activity picks up and we follow them and we see what they're doing. And then we also take a break. We just had lunch a few minutes ago. And hopefully they'll be up and about in a bit and we'll be shooting again.
After about a couple of hours of frantic mating, they took a break. The snow did not relent. We still had a long drive ahead of us before we checked into our base camp at Kibber, so we carried on.
So it's about 5 p.m. now and we're heading back from Langza to Kibber, which is where we need to check in, which is what our base is going to be, which is where we were supposed to be at the start of this trip. But even before we get there, we've seen 4 snow leopards. We saw snow leopards mating, we saw one male chase another male away, and I did not expect day 1 to be like this. I think this has been one of the best starts to any wildlife trip I've ever had. And happy as I am to have started the trip the way we did, I'm a little worried about like everything else that we see or do from here is going to be a letdown compared to what we saw. Who knows? Let's see how it goes. Not complaining one bit, but let's see how it goes.
After the splendid snow leopard sighting that we had, we all realized that we had to recuperate a bit from being at such a high altitude. Most of our SpO2s were low, most of us had high pulse rates, and we also realized that taking even 2 flights of stairs would leave us breathless. So even though we've taken 3 days to come here to be acclimatized, there is some amount of acclimatization and getting used to that we need to go through here.
We started off on a clear, sunny and cold morning. Our daily drill was to drive in the direction of a village called Chicham, looking for wildlife along the way, while waiting for updates on sightings. This has to be one of the most beautiful areas in the world to look for wildlife. The Spiti Valley is a high-altitude cold desert in the northeastern part of Himachal Pradesh that borders Tibet. The Spiti River originates in the Kunzum range of the Himalayas. It flows through the valley for about 130 kilometers before joining the Sutlej River. The valley's deep gorges are made of sedimentary rocks. Millions of years ago, before the Himalayas were formed, these sediments were at the base of the Tethyan Sea. And to this day, they hold marine fossils from that era. These gorges are home to the ibex, blue sheep, red fox, Tibetan wolf, lammergeier, golden eagle, and a number of other species. They've all adapted well to the high altitude and harsh climate. The snow leopard too, like this one curled up here. I bet you did not notice it earlier. Though this footage is from another sighting, every time we drove through the valley, I could not help but wonder if we'd missed a sleeping snow leopard somewhere in these rocks. Halfway to Chicham, we got news of the same 3 snow leopards. So we made our way back to Langsa as quickly as we could. It was still bright and sunny when we got there. The mating pair was, well, mating. The older injured male was around 2, and he kept his distance. We parked ourselves at the edge of the gorge, and the leopards were on the other gorge, much closer than yesterday, but still about half a kilometer away. Conditions-wise, it was a better day for photography.
It's actually a better lit day today, and I think we've made some clearer shots than the ones we did yesterday. But right now both the leopards are resting. The third leopard that we're told this territory originally belongs to is also resting on top of the cliff, but there's not really too many good shots that we can get of him. We're not leaving this place until we get news of a better sighting than this, which I can't imagine what it'll be, or it's the end of day. Let's see how it goes.
Female snow leopards have home ranges that overlap with multiple male territories so that they can optimize for the best partners. The mating season for snow leopards is between mid-Jan to about the end of March, which is towards the end of winter. Their gestation period is 90 days, and cubs are born in summer, which is a period of plenty. In the case of this mating pair, my guess is that the female sought the older male leopard, whose territory this is. He was seen here regularly. The younger male, who was probably on the prowl, got a whiff of this somehow, by scent markings to the female that contain information on her readiness to mate, or just plain dumb luck. And here he was, with the female, and possibly having overthrown the older male from his home range. I also noticed that the female was the initiator. There were times when the male tried to initiate it, but the female wouldn't oblige. The harder he tried, the harder he'd be put in his place. There was some aggression and growling, both before and after copulation, which I've noticed in the case of other big cats too, and from what I've read, is common. Snow leopards are solitary, except when mating or raising their young. Observations from zoos of captive snow leopards have reported 12 to 36 copulations daily during peak estrus. This intensity is necessary for fertilization during the female's brief fertile window of about 4 to 7 days. Meanwhile, the injured older male moved farther away into an adjacent gorge. He was limping more than yesterday. I wonder if, given their proximity, there was another fight last night. He was soon out of sight behind the gorge. That's the last we saw of him for today. Late afternoon, the light got softer. Things were also beginning to slow down a bit on the mating front. I took this opportunity to switch from my R5 to my R7. R7 is a crop sensor camera with an additional crop mode converting my 800mm lens to a 2300mm. While the footage is still 4K, the downside is the violent shaking even with gentle wind. But given what I got, it was worth the risk. Snow leopards are one of the 5 big cats, and a testament to the brilliance of evolution. Their grey coats with black rosettes provide the perfect camouflage against rocky mountain terrains, making them nearly invisible to prey. Their large, fur-covered paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing their weight evenly across snow. They can leap over 5 times their body length thanks to their powerful hind legs. Their long, thick tail, which is nearly half their total length, serves multiple functions. It provides balance when navigating slopes, especially while hunting, which requires fast vertical descents from steep cliffs. And in probably the cutest adaptation ever, it wraps around their body like a scarf in these freezing temperatures. Snow leopards also have a large chest and an enhanced respiratory system for thin mountain air, short rounded ears to minimize heat loss, and a specialized nasal cavity that warms frigid air before it reaches their lungs. All in all, perfectly adapted to these extreme conditions. And while they are probably the most unique of the big cats, cats they are, nonetheless. It was hard to believe our luck. Just a few years ago, glimpses of snow leopards is all we'd get in these expeditions. Over the years, the wildlife tourism ecosystem at Spiti has collaborated for the better and made it easier to spot snow leopards. This is thanks to a well-connected network of spotters. I spoke to Sonam, our spotter, to understand this a little better.
6 बजे हम निकलते हैं, सबसे पहले तो स्पॉट पहुंचते हैं। तो हमारा जैसे हम लोग एरिया करते हैं, यहाँ से बंदंग हो गया एक एरिया है और एक नीचे सूदुंग वाला एरिया हो गया। ये दोनों एरिया कवर करने के लिए हम दो स्कैनर आपस में चलते हैं। तो मैं पहला स्कैनिंग पॉइंट से स्कैनिंग करना स्टार्ट करता हूँ। हर स्कैनिंग पॉइंट में हमारे को कम से कम आधा से 45 मिनट 30 से 45 मिनट लगता है। तो उसमें वहाँ पे पूरे चेक करने के बाद आगे फिर हमारे 20 से 25 मिनट का वॉकिंग होता है। फिर नेक्स्ट स्टॉप में रुक के पूरा एरिया भी कवर ज़्यादा बड़ा हो जाता है। सबसे पहले तो हम भीड़ में पहुँचने के बाद उनके टेरिटरी वाला एरिया चेक करते हैं कि उसका रूट ये ऐसा रहता है। वो चेक करने के बाद फिर कुछ स्क्रैप्स हो गया, उसके मार्किंग्स, स्नो होगा तो उसके पग मार्क्स किस साइड गया किस साइड नहीं गया, फिर उसको ट्रेल मिल गया तो उस ट्रेल फॉलो करते करते फिर उसको स्पॉट करते थे। जैसे स्नो लेपर्ड मिलता है सबसे पहले तो हम पूरा कंफर्म करते हैं कि है या नहीं। जैसे कंफर्म हो जाता है तो फिर हम आपस में जो भी ट्रैकर्स हम लोग साथ में काम करते हैं सबको आपस में न्यूज़ सबको देते हैं।
अच्छा।
सब अपने अपने गेस्ट को बोल देते हैं। अच्छा।
और अगर स्नो लेपर्ड नहीं दिखा तो आप दूसरे वाइल्ड लाइफ का भी ट्रैकिंग करते हैं और बोलते हैं कि ibex वहाँ पे है या रेड फॉक्स मिल रहा है?
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। सबसे पहला हमारा पहला प्राइवेसी लेपर्ड को जाता है कि लेपर्ड की हमारे सबसे पहले लेपर्ड स्पॉट करना है, और उसको लेपर्ड नहीं दिखा तो फिर हम लोग वुल्फ का थोड़ा ज़्यादा देखते हैं। उसके बाद ibex हो गया, फिर ब्लू शिप, फिर रेड फॉक्स।
आप मुझे एक चीज़ समझाइए, जैसे हम एक माउंटेन को देखते हैं सारा ब्राउन दिखता है,
हाँ जी।
और उसमें एक स्नो लेपर्ड मतलब बिल्कुल कैमोफ्लेज होकर बैठा रहता है,
जी।
और कई बार आपने मुझे लेंस में उसको पॉइंट आउट करके दिखाया है कि वो वहाँ पे है, और उसके बाद मुझे दिखा है। आप उसको कैसे पहचानते हो कि वो वहाँ पे है?
हमारे को मतलब इस सारे माउंटेन्स का पता है कि इस जगह भी इतना पता है, मतलब जो भी एरिया है जैसे भी है, तो उस जगह पे लेपर्ड बैठा होगा तो हमारे को साफ समझ आ जाता है कि अब लेपर्ड बैठा है।
मतलब जैसे एक माउंटेन का मैप है आपके दिमाग में कि यहाँ पे ये पत्थर है, तो
जी,
कुछ
जी।
अलग दिखेगा तो आपको पता चलेगा। किसी को अगर ट्रैकिंग करना है तो सबसे ज़रूरी एक क्वालिटी या दो क्वालिटी क्या होनी चाहिए उनमें?
सबसे ज़्यादा सर वो एक ही जगह में बैठ के उस एरिया को पूरा ढंग से करने के लिए उसके अंदर पेशेंस होना चाहिए कि अगर
बिल्कुल।
उसने एक बार स्कैन कर लिया तो हो सकता है लेपर्ड इधर कैमराज रहता है कि कई बार नहीं दिखता है, नज़र से नहीं दिखता है, दूसरा बार चेक करता है तो दिख जाता है। तो हम तब उसके लिए उसको आप उस जगह पर रुक के देखने के लिए पेशेंस की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है।
और आप ये दूसरे लोगों को भी सिखा रहे हैं कि कैसे ट्रैक करना है?
हाँ जी, जी।
अच्छा, कितने साल से कर रहे हैं आप ये ट्रैकिंग?
अभी 7वां साल है।
आपने हमें बहुत ही अच्छे साइटिंग दिलाए हैं, आपने हमें बहुत ही अच्छे फ़ोटोज़ दिलवाए हैं। इफ़ यू वर नॉट हियर हमारा कोई शॉर्ट या वीडियो नहीं बनता, तो उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
जी, थैंक यू सर।
It's day 3 today, and we're headed back to Langza. We got news that 3 snow leopards are there, presumably the same 3 that we saw yesterday and the day before. Our decision's also based on being with a sighting that we know of than waiting for something else. Kibber is a wildlife-rich area where there are other things that we could look for, like a red fox or ibex. But we know of a sighting here, and we have about 6 days more left on this trip, and we will make time for some of those more easily available, if I can say, or more widespread animals, because it's so rare to see a snow leopard. We're optimizing for going to the place where we are seeing 3 snow leopards, even if it is the same 3 that we saw over the last 2 days.
Langza is a small village known for 2 things: a 1,000-year-old Buddha statue and fossils of marine life scattered across the village from when this land was under the Tethyan Sea. We were interested in neither of the two. Today, the snow leopards were a fair distance away, on an adjacent gorge. It was a 2-kilometer trek downhill, which would make it a torrid uphill climb on the way back. Our end points of the trek depend on where we can shoot the snow leopards from. We get as close to them as possible without disturbing them or putting us at risk. Today, this meant that we sit on snow, much colder than the earlier 2 days. Just as we got there, we saw the older injured leopard walking downhill. A spotter had seen it earlier this morning in a fight with the younger male, and it did not look like it ended well for the older fellow. A part of his face was hanging out. What little was left of his nose was bloody and mauled. He walked into a cave nearby and spent the rest of the day there. I feared the worst for him. The younger male was sleeping in a cave with some shade. The female was on a high point on the gorge.
So we've been here since about 11 in the morning, and we've got the same 3 leopards in our frames, and all 3 of them are sleeping at the moment in 3 different caves. One of the males is very, very badly battered and bruised, and we've got some gory images of him. But right now all 3 snow leopards are sleeping, and we're waiting for them to wake up and go about their business. And it's a long wait and watch. leopards came.
We stayed put, hoping for some action. But the snow leopards did what big cats do when they have nothing else to do. They slept. For the first time in our tour, we had downtime. We had the bandwidth to pay attention to the other wildlife. We saw a large herd of blue sheep in the distance. There was another herd on our side of the gorge too. Alpine choughs and lammergeiers and rose finches were going about their business. We had tea, then lunch, and then tea again. And through all this, the snow leopards didn't budge. This valley was regressing to mean. This is how wildlife watching in Spiti is meant to be. Slow, listening to the wind and bird calls, making sense of tiny silhouettes on distant mountains. The first 2 days were clearly an aberration. It was like buying tickets for a test match and ending up at a T20 instead. Towards the end of the afternoon, the female was up and about. She walked towards the younger male. But this wasn't an invitation. It was the final embrace. She then left and walked away. The younger male walked back to his cave. This is probably as much as he'll contribute to breeding. The female will now go back to her solitary life. I read an article that mentioned that female leopards would travel as far as 5 kilometers within a day after mating. In about 3 months, hopefully she'll have cubs. I'll see them, hopefully, the next time I'm here. As for the older male, I'm not sure what's in store for him, given how badly injured he is, and the younger male still being around.
It's like a closure of the sequence that we've been seeing of a mating pair, an older male, and I think there was a big fight last night. There was also a fight this morning between the older male and the younger male, and clearly the younger male's winning. I'm not sure if he'll be coming back here to this place tomorrow. We'll see how the sightings are in other places, but it looks like this is it from here.
It was time for us to trek back. 2 kilometers uphill to get back to our cars. This was bloody hard at this altitude. It took me about 40 minutes and probably as many breaks to catch my breath before I made it to the car. It was finally the end of an amazing 3 days with these 3 snow leopards on this gorge. Being in the field is one part of wildlife photography. The whole other part is making sense of what may have happened when we weren't there. I enjoyed this as much as the field part. I read, speak to guides and spotters, understand what's happened in the last weeks or months, connect the dots, and complete the story in my mind. How close it is to what actually transpires, I don't know. But I enjoy wildlife photography all the more because of these missing pieces. I hope that my understanding gets better the more time I spend in the field, and I hope for more days in the field. And while I'm not a trained biologist, I hope to be a more curious naturalist. A huge shout out to our kind team of drivers, porters, spotters and chefs at the Zamgyan Kaza homestay in Kibber. without whom we'd not make it a day in Kibber, let alone see the amazing things that we did. My next video about Spiti is going to be on the other amazing wildlife here: ibexes, bharals, wolves and foxes, and another snow leopard too, so stay tuned. Oh, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.